Welcome to WatchmanReview. Ladies and gentlemen, the elite are on the move. Their target, the American government, and full control over you and me. And believe me, there is need for concern, great concern in fact, because, you see, everything is almost in place. Don't believe me? Let me show you what I see.
The American historian Howard Zinn wrote, "If those in charge of our society, politicians, corporate executives, and owners of press and television, can dominate our ideas, they will be secure in their power. They will not need soldiers patrolling the streets. We will control ourselves."
If manipulating people's emotions in order to sell them on something, and to structure how their brand is perceived in the minds of the general public, doesn't sound like Propaganda 101 to you, consider this. Joseph Goebbels was the Reich Minister of Propaganda in Nazi Germany from 1933 to 1945. As part of Hitler's Rotzenstab policy, coordinating the whole population in Nazi Germany behind Hitler, Goebbels drew inspiration for Nazi propaganda by studying the way advertising companies worked in America. The fact is, we are bombarded with propagandized messaging every single day, and the number one source for that indoctrination is our television sets. Watching TV puts the viewers into a highly susceptible sleep-like hypnotic state, largely caused by the screen flicker that lowers the viewer's brainwaves into what is called an alpha state. This alpha state of mind is what you'd normally associate with meditation or deep relaxation. And most people enter into this state of mind within 30 seconds to 3 minutes of television viewing. When in this hypnotic state, the information that you are exposed to is downloaded directly into your subconscious mind, where your existing beliefs are altered to form new beliefs without you even noticing. This is a very suggestive state of mind in which the right side of your brain tends to not critically analyze incoming information as it normally would. The average American watches 2 to 5 hours of television a day. Over the course of an average lifetime, that figure amounts to 9 years of a person's life. That's 9 years of indoctrination dedicated to programming every single man, woman, and child in this country. Now you may be sitting there thinking to yourself, but isn't propaganda illegal? Or wouldn't the government try and stop propaganda? Well, as it turns out, no. Back in 2012, an amendment to the National Defense Authorization Act, the NDAA, proposed by Mac Thornberry, a Republican from Texas, and Adam Smith, a Democrat from Washington, effectively nullified the Smith-Mundt Act of 1948, which explicitly forbid information and psychological operations aimed at influencing U.S. public opinion. This amendment effectively allows the United States government to legally use, quote, information operations on the American public. These information operations, or IOs for short, are loosely outlined as incorporating, quote, the integrated employment of electrical warfare, computer network operations, psychological operations, military deception, and operations security in concert with specified supporting and related capabilities to influence, disrupt, corrupt, or usurp adversarial human and automated decision-making while protecting our own. And the primary purpose for IOs is to, quote, shape the essential narrative of a conflict or situation and thus affect the attitudes and behaviors of the targeted audience. So not only does the government permit propaganda to be used against the American public, they've actually taken special precautions to legally use propaganda on the general public themselves. People, propaganda is the most effective on an unsuspecting public.
The constant fact in all of these is the almost monopoly on what is called the mainstream media, controlled by largely 6 corporations, government entities and individuals, all with their own personal agendas. It is only with the advent of the internet that the average person can literally have the means to connect with the entire world to spread a wider array of divergent views than those pushed by establishment media.
The sharing of biased and
False news has become all too common on social media. More alarming, some media outlets publish things aren't true without checking facts first. Unfortunately, some members of the media use their platforms to push their own personal bias and agenda to control exactly what people think. And this is extremely dangerous to our democracy.
This is extremely dangerous to our democracy.
This is extremely dangerous to our democracy.
A large percentage of the audiences of TV talk shows and sitcoms that are filmed in front of a live audience also pay people to be in the audience and clap. These people, usually hired through Craigslist, help to make the shows look much more popular than they actually are and provide the laugh tracks when shows appear on TV.
Fight in Congress, fight in the courts, fight in the streets, fight in the streets, fight online, fight at the ballot box.
You get out and you create a crowd, and you push back on them, and you tell them they're not welcome anymore, anywhere.
Their idea is, look, nonviolence hasn't worked, and we are going to try to stop this.
President Walker, how do you resist the temptation to run up and wring her neck?
Other way. That's it right there, pull it up. Because I'm throwing that piece of shit against the wall till it sticks.
Our democracy is under siege. People need to start taking to the streets. This is a dictator. We need a revolution at this point.
We will, as per Chief Jim Hopper, punch some people in the face.
Spokesperson, the mouthpiece for the President of the United States, to say you don't know me in certain quarters in this nation, that starts a physical fight.
Look as his character is stabbed to death. And there's no mistaking the Trump connection.
We heard a loud bang, and I stopped and said, "What was that?" And the next thing I heard was everybody said, "Run, he's got a gun."
Within about a millisecond after that second shot, most people knew it was gunfire, and we needed to start scrambling, and that's exactly what we did.
It seemed to be like return fire, pop, 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 pop. I bet you there were 30 to 50 shots that I heard. And I heard some of the players saying, just shoot him. He was like, they shot one of his buddies and they were shooting at them, and they were shooting all of us.
Most people on both sides, Republican and Democrat, had the sense to condemn today's assassination attempt on Republican members of Congress for the atrocity that it was, of course. And yet, unfortunately, most people is not everybody. Several people on the hard left praised today's shootings as an act of self-defense or of revolution.
Terrifying night of violence as Donald Trump supporters were attacked by an angry mob waiting for them outside a Trump rally. It happened in San Jose. As the crowd headed home, they were set upon.
Be grossly generalistic. You could put half of Trump supporters into what I call the basket of deplorables. Right? The racist, sexist, homophobic, xenophobic, Islamophobic, you name it.
In 2010, we had an earthquake that killed 315,000 people. That's really a deadly earthquake, and millions were left without shelter.
President Obama named Bill Clinton as the one who should be in charge of the reconstruction of Haiti. And in that process, the Clinton Foundation, through U.S. taxpayers' money, and people giving money worldwide to the Clinton Foundation for relief effort to Haiti, contributed about $14.3 billion. We're talking about $1 billion, okay? And the Haitian people has not seen not even 2% of that money.
2%.
Nothing was done in Haiti.
He said, because I'm famous, because I'm a star, because I'm a billionaire, I can do things other people can't. What a disgusting assertion for anyone to make.
This is a long day. Walking.
Don't tell me what. Here we go. Here we go.
Here we go. Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you. That you take this obligation freely without any mental reservation or purpose of evasion, that you will well and faithfully discharge the duties of the office upon which you're about to enter, so help you God. God love you. You're a lucky man. You're a lucky man. Do you know what my dad used to say? Your granddaughters have one important job. Take care of the pop. That's the most important one.
Okay, and the gentleman with the baby, could you guys come up to the front? Okay, yeah, can I get a couple of you?
Press always asks me, don't I wish I were debating him? No, I wish we were in high school, I could take him behind the gym. That's what I wish.
Former President Barack Obama goes to South Africa to deliver a speech on 100th birthday of the late radical left leader Nelson Mandela. In his speech, Obama praised the black majority government of the African National Congress, or ANC, and didn't miss a chance to attack President Trump.
And a politics of fear and resentment and retrenchment began to appear. People must learn to hate. And if they can learn to hate, they can be taught to love.
Barack Obama, along with a group of his aides from his administration, they've set up the secret war room, and the whole reason, the whole thing that they're tasked to do is to get President Trump out of the White House. The secret war room that Obama has is 2 miles from the White House. You have to understand what's going on here, because there's a deliberate attempt to oust President Trump from the White House. It's a coup.
There's a deeper government there. It's something which has been called the deep state, or the shadow government. In fact, since the early days after World War II, there's been a continuity of government, which is called COUP, of unelected officials who will supposedly take over the government and run it if the government breaks down, if there's a war or some kind of catastrophe, an economic collapse, which many people are fearing now. This so-called continuity of government, again, not elected officials, we don't know who they are, will run the government. The problem as I see it, as I research this issue more and more, is that how they view us as the American citizens. In fact, I think they view us as cattle or very expendable.
You should probably take a look at the leaked government document entitled FM 3-39.40, Internment and Resettlement Operations. This 326-page military document signed by Joyce E. Morrow, Administrative Assistant to the Secretary of the Military, outlines military procedures for internment and resettlement of civilians, and it describes the layout and the administration of these internment camps. It clearly states on page 38 that it applies within U.S. territories and specifically addresses the detainment of U.S. citizens as is indicated by the identification procedures for new prisoners on page 146, which states that social security numbers are to be recorded alongside their photograph and fingerprints. Included in the list of organizations which may be involved in these internment operations are the Department of Homeland Security, FEMA, the Department of Defense, and the United Nations. On page 56, the document outlines the responsibilities of psychological operations officers within the camps, among which it states that the PSYOPs officers develop and execute indoctrination programs to reduce or remove antagonistic attitudes and identifies political activists. Now, it's important to note here that this document was created in 2010, which was under the Obama administration, and it predates the NDAA of 2012, which authorized the military detainment of U.S. citizens without charge or trial.
To accuse the president of treason, remember, in the Constitution, the one capital offense is treason. Brennan and others are threatening the killing of Donald Trump when they make these statements. And what's his crime? His crime is talking to the other nuclear superpower about how we can reduce the danger of nuclear war.
Are we on the verge of another civil war? How about the New Yorker in 2017? Is America headed for a new kind of civil war? LA Times, late 2017. Are we headed for a second civil war? Salon, November 2017. We are in a new civil war. The Guardian, our right-wing pundits write that America is on the brink of civil war, June 2017. How about Washington Times, America's second civil war, in which in that article, they admit that we're in the middle of a second civil war. And Zero Hedge, the most recent article of this year, 2018, the modern civil war is being fought without guns, at least so far.
I believe there's a civil war in the United States. There is no joy in my saying this. I've said this for years now. I pray that it remains nonviolent. I don't know if it will. I think there's a lot of people on the left who, if they could get away with it, would physically hurt people on the right. So there's a civil war, and I am not going to spend my time criticizing the only guy who has saved me from losing the country. Because had there been any other Republican, and by the way, I was against him.
This is much more than a political issue. This is a fight for your soul and the soul of America.